Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Ellen Barrett, and we have a great show ahead for you today. And we are starting off with our news partner, Greg, with Medical Art Prosthetics, LLC. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
And now you are the owner and also an anaplastologist. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, perfect. And today we're going to focus on facial and hand prosthetics and also anaplastology. But first, I kind of want to talk about how you guys got the name Medical Art Prosthetics.
Right. I chose that name years ago. After I transitioned from being a sole proprietor to kind of capture all three elements that go into this kind of a practice. You know, there's medical training involved in my background, and then of course it's really dependent on art, actual making of these devices. And then prosthetics is just a very general field, obviously, and it's a profession. So I just combined all the terms into the one. So that's how I chose that.
I like it because then people can kind of get a feel for everything that you do just right in the name. Kind of how you stand apart as well.
Yeah, exactly. Every term has a true meaning, and so I hope that people do remember that.
Now when people come in and they're in a situation where they need a facial prosthetic, do people really know what it is or how it's used?
Not all the time. I mean, people get referred by their doctors, or they find themselves in a position where they need a facial restoration, a nasal prosthesis, and they don't know if it's going to be permanent sometimes, or if it's put under the skin, or how it actually works. So I've got a few examples here, of course, that we can demonstrate that.
And
just
it always
in the sense that
it's so crazy how realistic these look.
Yeah.
Every time, I'm just mind blown.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
Good.
And it's not actually downplayed sometimes. It's just, historically, it's been the idea that it's a shame when somebody needs an ear or a nose or an eye, and it's just a matter of them getting one. But what it really boils down to getting a prosthesis that's so accurate and so carefully prepared that people don't notice it. But this demonstrates how a prosthesis is actually attached. So in the case of an ear prosthesis, that's an implant retained prosthesis. And then there's other types of the attachments. But then, again, this just demonstrates that these people put these on every day.
Is it magnetic?
They put them on in the morning. They are.
Okay.
Some of them are magnetic. Some of them have like a bar and a clip attachment.
Oh, sure.
This involves surgery, of course, to attach these. But not all of them require that. A lot of them can be adhesive retained. And then, of course, this is an eye prosthesis or an orbital prosthesis.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, how about hand prosthetics? And I guess when you come in with somebody who needs something like a hand prosthetic, I mean, that's just got to be huge, because that's something you use every day that suddenly you don't have.
Well, good point. You say people, use their hands, obviously. But what I find, as technology increases in the functional prosthetics, there's still a large component of patients that are actually not interested in restoring function because they're very robotic.
Sure.
And people notice them, and they make noise. And many patients that I see are strictly wanting a device that they can put on, a cosmetic, I shouldn't say cosmetic, we say aesthetic restoration, that looks so much like their natural hand that they can just go right on, put it on, go out to a restaurant and go on with their life without being noticed. They feel normal again. It's really huge. It's not to be underestimated.
Absolutely, and I know we always talk about how that's something you take for granted, I'm sure, when you have a normal hand and you haven't had to go through the loss of a finger or different parts of your hand like that.
Right.
And I know you kind of touched on this too, but how do your prosthetics kind of stand apart too from other prosthetics in the market?
Well, of course, I like to think that the prosthetics that I do, because I specialize, are some of the most accurate and detailed and faithfully represent the person's body as can be found. But in comparison to other prosthetic industries like limb prosthetics, traditional arms and legs, or dental prosthetics, we're really focused on the aesthetics, and it's a very specialized thing where these other disciplines really require teams and a number of people. I focus on this work gets done by one person. It's almost like an art project.
It really is, and every time I'm always so amazed. So thank you so much for being with us today, Greg.
Oh, you're welcome, Ellen.
And again, it's Greg with Medical Art Prosthetics. Be sure to check him out, and Talk to the Town will be back with more right after this.